SCY-Data is a tool for processing and visualizing numerical data sets and to help you organize and interpret your data in a meaningful way. To open an existing data set, double-click on its icon. This is an already prepared data set from an experiment on how the thickness of the insulation material in a house affects the insulating capability. There are 3 columns of data. The leftmost is the time intervals where the measurements took place, which was every 5 minutes. The column contains the measurement of degrees Celsius inside the simulated building, where the insulation was 10 centimeters thick. The column to the right holds the measurements where the insulation material was 15 centimeters thick. The buttons in the SCY-Data toolbar offer the following functionality from left to right. First, you can import datasets from your computer if they are stored in the correct format. The next button is for adding rows or columns to your dataset. If you click one of the column headers, you add another column, and if you click on one of the row headers, you add another row. The next button is for deleting columns or rows, and the elements that you have marked are deleted when clicking this icon. The next 3 buttons are for justifying the contents of the cells in your dataset to the left, center, and right, respectively. The following button is for sorting the content of the columns with largest or smallest values to the top or bottom. The next button lets you ignore the values of single cells in a dataset. For example, if you have a value that you suspect is incorrect, you select it and press this button to leave it out of the graph or any statistical calculations. The 3 next buttons are for cut, copy, and paste. The sigma icon adds the values of all the cells in a column and pastes the result in a new row at the bottom of your dataset. The following 3 buttons calculate the average, find the lowest and highest value, respectively. The 2 arrows are for undoing and redoing actions carried out by you. The final 3 buttons are for turning your dataset into graphs, exporting the dataset as a CSV file, and for providing you with basic help. SCY-Data enables you to view your data as a graph, which is a visual way of observing data. To create a graph based on this dataset, click on the graph icon and a new window opens. First, give the graph a name. Choose to have the graph displayed as a scatter plot, a bar chart, or a pie chart. Next, decide which data to display and how. Here I am interested in a visualization of how the different thicknesses of the insulation material affects the material over time. So I choose time as the x-axis and the thermal data depending on the insulation thickness as the y-axis. I am also interested in comparing the two different thicknesses as the data originate from a simulation experiment and not measurements of a real house. So I add a new plot to include the 15 cm thick insulation data as well. To do this, click Add a new plot. To include a graph for more data, then click OK. The graph is produced in a new window within the tool. From the graph, we see that a 15 cm insulation increases the insulating capability quite significantly, mostly as a result of higher and an ability to retain the heat produced for a longer time. One of the values in the 10 cm graph seems out of place. So to ignore this, find the value in the dataset and click Ignore. There are other options available to manipulate how the graph is displayed. For example, the parameters of the graph can be altered. It is possible to move around in the graph. Auto-scale it. Return to previously specified parameters. And finally, perform calculations on the data by adding functions. Predefined functions are available and you can add your own. To save your work, click the Save button in the top of the window.